Now, that dynamic of that shame, it begins in the crown chakra. It begins in this with that spiritual belief that came from that initial separation.
Right.
And again, what we say to you is, imagine yourself as a child that you have never had any experiences of anything, and all of a sudden you have a situation where instead of being dependent upon mother, father, tribe, God, goddess, all that is, planet, all of that stuff, all of a sudden you find yourself standing alone because you ate from the tree of knowledge, and the knowledge that you got was that you were naked in the sight of God, which basically means what? That you were an individual.
But it felt the
Well, wait,
shame.
wait, wait. Well, the dynamic was shame, exactly. And that dynamic of that shame is what you utilize to allow yourself to be controlled in the way that you are.
That's huge, pinpointing that moment
Well,
in the belief systems of naked in the sight of God, and it was a bad thing because we'd done this bad thing in a world where we were completely connected to
and what
spirit.
did you do? You gained a sense of self. What is one of the one things that people can be most criticized for? Ego. What is ego except for a sense of self?
Right. Now, that's not to be confused with negative ego, which is a destructive energy. But ego in and of itself
But
is
you see, it's interchangeable because of the dynamics of belief, because of the dynamic of the belief. What's the belief, Adrian?
well, one is that we're not enough
Come on, what's the belief?
with negative ego, that we're less than
No, with ego,
with ego.
with self. What's the whole dynamic of self? You cannot have a good sense of self because of the original sin.
Right.
What's the original sin? The gaining of the sense of self.
That's a
Now,
catch
of course,
20.
But
we're
the sense of
talking
sin,
about,
wouldn't that be humility?
say it again,
With sin, there would be humility.
not necessarily.
There
No,
there is no sin.
Oh, okay.
Too soon? There is no sin. That's the whole point.
shame is always put on you by someone or something else within the dynamic of your, what shall we say, your religious belief systems. We would say that is a common thread.
Now, there's bad behavior that is destructive,
Well, that's not what we're talking about.
but sin suggests stepping outside of some sort of connection to the divine, and that's
What do you have
impossible.
permission to do as a human being with free will? And allow yourself to still have integrity and but still to take down a lot of the parameters of behavior. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt anyone else. It's not so hard.
Instead of this whole
But you see, then you start to have to develop that belief system that will allow for a dynamic of understanding that you're no longer in a Darwinian paradigm of survival of the fittest. That's where you're moving out of now. That's why the big transition, but you're moving into a paradigm of caring, connection, compassion,
Mhm.
understanding, awakening, connection to the divine, but not connection to the wrathful God,
The one that would say, don't eat from that tree.
the one that would say, don't eat from that tree. Dun, dun.
Why do I sense we've made people very uncomfortable?
It's our job. It's our job. Well, you're not making people uncomfortable. You're getting them thinking. This is this is some deep shit. Okay, we go back to that point just to have you understand because it is almost, you're not going to go back to the garden, all right? You're not going to go back to the sexuality of the garden, but the dynamics of the underlying sexuality of the garden led you to the dynamics of the difficulties that you are having right now in the reflections of your world within the dynamics of the reset that is occurring.
Well, there's the dynamics that have developed have to do with romance, have to do with ownership, have to do with
Romance,
ownership,
ownership,
power
monogamy.
over.
Monogamy. What's the biggest thing that's going on in your world right now is monogamy. Some people voluntarily go along with that dynamic, but we would suggest to you that almost all of so much of what the channel is hearing about in the dynamics of social media and things like that are women complaining about men and men cheating on them, and men complaining about women and women cheating on them, and the belief that there is some sort of fidelity that is necessary when we have said for many years that humanity was never intended to be monogamous, as proven
By our behavior.
by your behavior.
Well, we have that behavior and it just keeps reinforcing some belief in original sin.
Some of you may be goody two shoes, but we would suggest to you that you're a goody two shoes because of the fear of repercussions.
Mhm.
So
Being shunned.
being shunned, feeling shame. We're
Feel
back to shame. So the question ultimately is, can you live a moralistic life and still be shameless? Dun, dun.
Well, you've set parameters which are don't hurt yourself and don't hurt anyone else. And if you take into the understanding of that you only hurt somebody, aside from stabbing them, but you only hurt somebody by deceiving them. So you have a certain standard in your life that if you have to lie about something, don't do it because that would be hurting somebody. And you live your behavior within that parameter.
If you choose. But again, it's free will. It's a free will planet. And yet, so many things in your world are saying, oh no, you have free will, except don't cross this line.
Don't wear white after Labor Day.
Change your underwear every day.
And don't vote this way or that way.
Oh, you had to say that word, didn't you?
Vote?
Yeah.
Well, it's the biggest play out of this dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was good, Adrian. You just took up 45 minutes.